Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So, in this particular episode, I'm just jumping right in. I'm going to take a break and then get back to the norm for the month of October as far as Halloween aspects. So today, Friday, whenever you listen, Friday focuses in on, because I know last week that, I centered as far as Halloween, but it's not, it doesn't make any sense. It's not appropriate to focus on Halloween theme for this particular country for food, as food-wise goes, as far as that. So I touched on it last week. So this week I'm covering Israel for the listeners out there that were there with me from Anchor from the beginning when I started the podcast. I appreciate all of y'all. And And so, specifically, I remember it was Tel Aviv, the city of Tel Aviv. And so, I'm going to talk about the food of Tel Aviv. Here we go. All right, so can't quote it enough. Roseanne Barr, she said it quite best on her podcast. She said, of course I'm paraphrasing. So the best way to mend all ties as far as it, where it be political issues, race issues, so forth, is through food. And that's very kind to say and very eloquent too. So my point is that, as I mentioned before, Israel is more than just the sum of its parts. Which I mean by this, it's more than just religious, war-torn country. Is more than just all the battling with Palestine and Israel. It's more than that. And then also to make a perspective about it and give commentary about it, is something. This war that's going on is something that's not new. It's something that's been going on since the dawn of man, and it's unfortunate. This is probably something that will never end. But there's ways to come to an agreement, and it's an unfortunate thing, and it's just one of those things when you got to look at it for what it is. And I think that's really something to think about. So, my purpose and I'll resurface this and say this, every time I talk about food on Friday, at the heart of the matter, food is the platform and the welcoming of comfort, where it be comfort from friends and family and loved ones gathering around, eating something that's enjoyable, or whether it be comfort from the simple fact of eating something that reminds you of something, or that you find joy in. And so why not talk about this and address this, and then learn and get insights about this, and then and then I think it's also a good part to really understand even more in depth about culture, certain cultures. And so this is my way to launch all of that. And then, as I get into talking about different topics on Fridays, centering around all of you listeners out there, is my appreciation for all of y'all who listen. And thank you so much for listening. Without your listeners, I wouldn't be doing this. And then it just means a lot how much y'all tune in. And it's just, I'm grateful for it. So, with that said, let's jump into the food from Tel Aviv. All right, so here we go. And Samantha Brown, and also for reference, so I think Samantha Brown's, when she was on the Travel Channel, her shows, and then, PBS, for the issues that PBS has as far as political, with left-leaning ideas and not seeing things objectively, which should be the aspect of education and a beacon of knowledge. But I digress with that. But for the most part, their travel shows, she had, I don't know if it's recent or not, but PBS, but and then Rick Steve. So my point being of addressing them, they put their point of view, their 2 cents in about traveling to Israel. And so it was they had 2 different perspectives, and at the heart of the matter, it was about seeing past what your perceived notions about Israel. And then going in on Rick Steve, when he traveled to Israel, he also went to Tel Aviv. And then Tel Aviv brought light that Tel Aviv was the new hope new beacon after the Holocaust, as a way of modernity for the postmodern Israel, postmodern Israeli people. This going with the aspect of the metropolitan center of focus of what Tel Aviv is. It's not a place where it's either orthodox or it's not it's just living in the here and now, and it's a part of modernity. And that's very interesting. It's perspective to give about the aspect of the different phases of Israel. Okay, so here we go. And this article will be linked for you in this episode. And it's entitled From East to West. And it's a full Tel Aviv food guide where to eat food in Tel Aviv for every type of person and meal. So it says, if you know me, let me restate that. When I read these things, keep in mind that I'm reading from their point of view in this article. So let me rephrase that. So it says, this person is overly obsessed with both Tel Aviv and food, this food writer. So the food scene in Tel Aviv is outrageous, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. So this person visited Tel Aviv 10 plus times and moved permanently in 2019. And this person says the list is growing as this person has been living here for 5 years now. So what to eat in Israel brunch in Tel Aviv, cafes in Tel Aviv, cheap eats and street food in Tel Aviv, casual dining in Tel Aviv, fine dining in Tel Aviv, dessert in Tel Aviv, best spots for every specific craving, and the absolute favorite and recommend food tour in Tel Aviv. Food tour in Tel Aviv. Anything you are in the mood for, Tel Aviv has it. And they're explaining that the guide will help you plan your itinerary around food and reservations. And so this person also gives you a warning about contain affiliated links and things. So like that, if you like to check into that, feel free. I have the source. I will have this source link for you. So must know Tel Aviv food guides and tips. So reservations says they highly suggest making a reservation at all of your brunch/dinner spots you want to go to well in advance. And then they also go into the aspect of travel insurance. Unfortunately, things can and do go wrong when you travel. So they offer coverage for more than 150 activity, as well as emergency medical, loss and luggage, trip cancellations, and much more as an incentive, as an extra precaution. And say Tel Aviv packing list. Tel Aviv is hot during the summer and mild in the winter. So for travel packing essentials, it says trip they compiled together, and it has the link here if you're interested about what to do. So they go into the foods. Here is the good bits and pieces about everything. It says hummus needs no introduction, and once you have it in Israel, you will never like store-bought brands again. So where to try? Abu Hassan and Shalmun Vidorin. Falafel. Falafel is one of Israel's favorite street food, and it's amazing. It is vegetarian, so it's perfect for anyone. Usually it comes in a pita with a ton of other amazing vegetables. And they also give other things to try too. Hakaramal, suka. Help me out with that pronunciation there. And swami. So swami is Israel's other street food and thinly sliced and cooked meat. And then what I'm saying about help me out for the listeners in Israel, Tel Aviv specifically, so sukin, I would like to know. So thinly sliced and cooked meat can be chicken, beef, lamb, etc. And another word, sapich is the lesser known of all the Israel street food, but might be this person's preferred. So it's eggplant and eggs served with a pita with different veggies. Tahini. So tahini is also known as internationally, but exceptionally good food in Israel. And it goes on to say that where everything is, always ask, to be in the know. It says initial, and Israel happens to have the best. And then they give Cafe Noir as a pinpoint to go to try. And for a fancy sit-down restaurant, Makla for schnitzel sandwich. And then they go on to say with Havala, an Israel dessert that you can find all over the markets, lots of sugar, but melts in your mouth. And Mala Bayi This is an Israel dessert. It's super sweet. I like desserts there. Fresh juices and smoothies. So fruit produced are beyond fresh in Israel. And you can find juices and smoothie stands all over the city. It says Israel salad, served as a side with every meal. And it's chopped with tomatoes and cucumbers, and it's always fresh. So, Israel alcohol, you can have shots called chasers in Israel of these before you leave. And it says this person also gives a pinpoint, don't smell it before, and then they're giving you the aspect to just trust them. So I guess it's not very appeasing to smell, and it's in all bars. And they also give pictures of everything. So they're going to food in Tel Aviv by the meal type. So this is first the brunch and breakfast in Tel Aviv. So the most favorite brunch spot is Cafe Chakol, I believe. But if you only have a few days in Israel, this is not the spot to get traditional Israel breakfast and brunch. This is definitely a Western brunch place. So they have things like egg and cheese bagel. It's not just an egg and cheese. There is a special onion jam that they make, and it's remarkable. Other things to consider are the beer bread specials. They're so good, and this person goes on to say, also have the freshest ingredients and change weekly. Their vegan desserts are also amazing, and they're known for their ice cream, cookies, and sandwiches, and matcha smoothies. Quite good. They make their own ice cream and cookies from scratch. That's nice to know, and that's a nice touch. And then it also goes into the aspect of the pride, and then that's one of the pillars, I think, to keep customer loyal to restaurants, and specifically with small restaurants or local restaurants, they understand the impact of making everything fresh, and that's really nice. And that even gives more perspective about the culture too, with when they pride themselves on fresh food, making everything fresh. Let's say Cafe Buck is a brunch spot in the city. They are known for their trays of food that comes with a ton of different options and changes with fresh and seasonal produce. So this place is nice and hipstery, as it's coined in this article. So it's a brunch in Tel Aviv to stop and pack all the fun Israel breakfast food into one tray. And again, it goes on to that perspective of, Israel is about postmodernism, keeping up with the trends in today's standards. Yom Tov Cafe. And for brunch in Tel Aviv, Yom Tov is crowded with their outside seating every day for the week, and it's the best for people watching. Yom Tov is at the Souk Ha-Caramel, and has the fresh and most electric brunch menu. Benedict Tel Aviv. So, and my husband too, he enjoys Benedict eggs. That dish is really good. So it's overrated when you live here, but it's really good. And when you're visiting, it's very touristy and English friendly. And it's saying that it's also open 24 hours. So it's, you can stop by anytime. And it says they also have banana pancakes. So Bread and Co. Company is super local, and they have the fresh breads. So NOLA American Bakery. So this bakery is American inspired and brunch spots. It's a brunch spot, and it's based off of New Orleans. And yeah, so New Orleans is, of course, related, and of course, the imagery of New Orleans with the very decadent pastries, baguettes, all of these things, come out from New Orleans. And it's quite interesting to see how these are reimagined in other countries. That's neat. So I guess they're going NOLA, that's in New Orleans. So I was wondering if that was, but that's okay. That's good to see that. Okay, so Manta Ray, this is a fancier brunch when you want a more upscale brunch with a view. Java, this is a Tel Aviv spot, and they have the schnitzel sandwiches and all of that, if you like to try. And I'm going to end with Orby Cafe. It's a newer spot, and they have Florentine. Quite interesting. So lunch. And they go on a list of cheap eats and street food. So Sholem and Doran is a hummus spot for Shuk caramel with different twists on hummus. So we got, and I'm gonna go into Frishman Sabich. So best Sabich in Tel Aviv. It is right on the corner of Frishman, and it is a small takeout place. Hummus in Abba Hassan is the best hummus in Tel Aviv, and it will not disappoint. And they give a tidbit that you must go before 2 p.m. as they close after the daily batch finishes. So Miss Sinon, world class. So as the famous Israel chef there, probably in the world, and it's a fast casual dining, and it's street food, a spot you can get anything on a pita. So cauliflower or minute steak pita, chicken, veggies. That's quite interesting. So casual diner. So I'm gonna run some off for you and wrap everything up. So M25, best meat restaurant in all of Tel Aviv. It's a part of a meat shop. It's a part restaurant. M25 sits right in Shuk HaKarmel, and quite literally pick what meat you want out of the freezer and how you want it cooked. That's quite nice, and that puts me into the aspect of, particularly when I was a kid, and I would go to, I'm thinking about the seafood restaurants I would go to as a kid in Houston, and then see the live lobster tank there, and you could pick out what you want, and it's quite neat. So, Old Man in the Sea, one of the most popular tourist restaurants in Tel Aviv, and honestly, I must go for the experience. So this is a typical Israel restaurant, and it's on the port that comes with the 1 million little dishes that it keeps refilling, and they recommend it as a must. Romano, it's another one of the masterpieces. This is located on top of Teeter and has the best vibes and great food, and they take reservations, 2. Cafe Noir again, a solid restaurant known for the schnitzel in Tel Aviv. And Soulful and Sons, a traditional Yemet small spot in the center of Levinsky Market, and Yemet dishes and fun casual vibe to sit at the bar too. And then go on to say Cafe Popular Bar. It's a newer spot in the Old North. So for a super fun and good solid dinner, make sure to reserve the downstairs bar area. They recommend that the food is great. This is a place super trendy and fun. Social club, high quality, good vibes, restaurants on the Rothschild with amazing food. And they recommend salmon dishes as well as the artichoke and dessert section, just to name a few. OCD. This is one of the most interesting food experiences, according to them, says they have had in a long time. And private seating with only about 20 seats sitting around the kitchen. And I'm going to end on desserts. I'm going to give some desserts here. So Artie Cafe is real gelato spot in the middle of the not chalat, believe the pronunciation of that, with flavors you would never think about. And they also recommend bread flavor. That's interesting. I bet with that we get like a nice, as far as like a legume with peanuts with that flavor, kind of peanutty flavor maybe, or the wheat flavor. That's really interesting to see how that works. So I'm going to end on this. Can't stress enough the impact that food has on society, and then in the thought process of what people think about food, it changes from time to time, from era to era, from generations to generations, and so forth. And again, food is one of those simple things, but complex things that has a nice way of merging people together and see beyond the scope of things and get back to the heart of the matter about the simple joys of life. With that being said, I'd like to know what you all think about food, what I said today in this topic about food from Tel Aviv, or about food in general. You can reach me through email, Substack, X, and of course, fill up those comments and YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated. So this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. Tune in, turn up, and absolutely take care out there. Bye-bye now.